Even though it takes a little effort to plant, garlic is one of our easiest crops to grow. In early November, we pull apart garlic bulbs, do a fertilization soak, and plant each clove in the ground. Once they're planted, then they get covered with mulch to prevent weeds and protect the garlic. In the early spring, we feed the plants again, then in summer, we harvest them. Our hardneck garlic was prolific this year, and we have nearly 30 pounds. Even though we keep some garlic as it is in cold storage and save some for seed, the majority gets preserved because it helps it last through the winter, and when it's ready to use, it's convenient. Cam spent a bunch of time this morning peeling this hardneck garlic because we need to preserve it. And the way we are going to preserve it is we are going to ferment it. We did this last year and it worked out so well. It was very convenient. So for this year, we are leaving 1 jar of whole garlic cloves, and I'm going to mince up another jar and do that prior to fermentation. So the first step is to mix up the brine. So I got a cup of water, and then I'm going to use some sea salt with the water. I do a ratio of 1 tablespoon of salt to 1 cup of water. The salt is pretty much dissolved, but it kind of needs to sit for a little bit to dissolve the rest of the way. I'm going to give it 1 more stir. And while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to go ahead and mince up half of my garlic. Okay, so the garlic is all minced now. The salt is dissolved. A lot of times with sea salt, it doesn't look like it's dissolved because there's a little bit of stuff in the bottom that's actually just the minerals in the salt. So this is ready to go, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the jars. I am actually fermenting these inside these mason jars, and I'm switching over to wide mouth because all of the fermentation stuff that I have only works for wide mouth jars. Okay, so I just mixed up 1 cup of brine, and I have a feeling now that I'm filling this that it's not gonna be enough. So if it's not, I'll mix up a little bit more and then put that in here. Yep, not enough. I'm using airlock lids to ferment the garlic. Last year, I did a couple with the airlock lids and a few more with the pickle pipes, and the ones with the airlock lids, they turned out a lot better, like noticeably better. So now we are ready to let these ferment. I'm gonna set them on the counter. Usually we don't have the lights on in here, and it's pretty cool and dark, and these will take about 3 weeks to ferment. The minced garlic will probably be done a little bit earlier than the whole. And once those are done, they need to go into refrigeration or someplace below 50 degrees Fahrenheit so that it stops the ferment.
We got 2 main projects we're working on this week. One is preserving garlic, and the other one is rotating the pigs. So that's where I'm headed right now. Ready to move the pigs. So I've got a bucket of feed so they'll follow me. I just need to open the gate to the next paddock.
You're gonna bite your hand off.
Sometimes they're pretty well trained to the electric, and so any new opening they're still kind of nervous about. So I'll have the feed there. I'll kind of lead them along as I walk backwards into that new paddock, and then usually they follow me because food. They'll go anywhere for food. You sit it right there so they don't kind of make it in. So they're in this paddock now, so I'm just moving these gates. I have 2 of these gates. I'm just kind of shifting them down so they can't get out of this one. It's on their side, so they can't push it through. Because if they get through, that's how they're going to do it. So right here, no good. I'm putting it right here so they can't push through it. Fence was shorting out, and so one of the pigs, I guess, realized that and just kept popping over. So they're usually not that stubborn, but he didn't want to go back. Well, he didn't want to go to this new pen where his buddies were, so it took us about, what, 20 minutes? 30 minutes to get him in there. Shorting out at this little insulator pipe here because I could hear it tick every 2 seconds, and so I think I fixed that. Well, we just heard a pig get shocked, and so it's working somewhat.
This soft neck garlic is long overdue to be stored and put away. We already put away the hard neck garlic long ago, and now this soft neck is fully dry and ready to be stored. So I'm going to store some of it by braiding it and hanging it up. The remainder I will clip and store in some kind of a crate. Okay, I got one garlic braid finished, and I think this is all I'm gonna do for this year is just one braid, and there are two reasons for that. One is this garlic is so dry, it's actually really difficult to braid. It was kind of like cracking and falling apart, a lot of the stems were. And the other reason is a lot of my soft neck garlic this year is not in great condition, and I'll show you what I mean. A lot of my soft neck garlic looks like this, where it is missing a bunch of the covering over top of some of the cloves. And I think that's because I left it in the ground for too long. That is usually the main reason why the cloves will separate like that, and you won't have enough covering over the top. Usually soft neck garlic can last up to 9 months. It's the hard neck garlic, it doesn't last very long, so that was what I was planning on preserving this week, but I think I'm gonna have to preserve a bunch of this soft neck too. Every day starts with going out to the garden. On most days, I hang around the homestead the rest of the day, but some days I need to run errands in town. Normally, I'd have to swap out my heavy boots for something lighter, but the weekend sneaker from Vessi handles it all with ease. Thanks to Vessi's waterproof Dymatex technology, these shoes keep my feet dry through morning dew, hose splashes, and even muddy patches. A quick wipe and they're good as new, ready for the rest of the day. Unlike most waterproof shoes that trap heat, my Vessis stay cool and breathable even on hot summer days. Noelle and I took a walk down to our creek in them, and our shoes got wet, but our feet stayed completely dry, and we were totally amazed by how waterproof they were. So from the garden to spontaneous trips to town, and even through sudden summer storms, Vessi keeps your feet dry, comfortable, and stylish. If you're ready to try them for yourself, head to vessi.com/seasonal homestead to grab your pair. You can get 15% off your first order, plus a 1-year warranty and 30-day worry-free returns. You're covered for every step of the journey. The insect netting up at the garden needs to be secured better. So we have some more rock bags that we are going to fill with rocks and bring them back up to the garden. We're just in the old pig pasture, so there is a lot of exposed rocks here, and they're just really easy to grab.
It starts to rain, I'm just gonna hang out under here. I'm bone dry right now. This is a good little lean-to. Where I'll camp out if you ever kick me out of the house.
You just come and sleep with the pigs.
My favorite animal anyways. That'd be kind of nice. We're heading back to the house real quick. We got to get some seeds that we're gonna plant in the pigs' old paddock, and then also some garden scraps to just add to their meal this morning.
I'm gonna put him in the carrier.
Sure. Just be sure-footed, it's fine. Hey, guys. Here.
Hey, who's over there?
Right here. Much more interested in that than overripe cucumbers. Okay, you hold it and pet him. Or you're gonna drive your car on him.
For the seeds that we're gonna put down in this pig pasture, I have the mango beets, 2 packs of those, and then some tilling radish, and I have a bowl of oats. that I just need to throw down. So we're gonna do that right now. Yeah, that's good. And then I'll just cover it with the hay.
Hi. Becky's nursing baby, so I'm gonna just throw down the rest of these seeds.
Great. It's been a couple days since we had this insect netting up, and my paper for the weed prevention has arrived. So we're going to take up what's here and lay down the paper, and the cucumbers have sprouted too, so that's good. And it looks like the insect netting is also working because I saw a squash bug on the outside today, so that's good.
So we're gonna lay the paper down and then put the insect netting right back on top.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we have all of the rock bags that we collected. We're just gonna lay it
just
everywhere.
Secure the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
We have done a pretty good job of putting the insect netting down, but it wasn't perfect by any means. So when we took this off, I was looking under leaves just to check, and I found some squash bugs and eggs. So I'm going to check each of these really carefully before we put the netting back on. Then I'm going to take off the squash bugs with some duct tape and the eggs.
Sleep, my darling, close your eyes. I hold you till the morning. Leave your worries in my hands tonight. I'll carry everyone. I'll be your hideaway, somewhere you can't escape. Shelter where you'll be safe. Slow down. Catch your breath, come on and lay your head down next to mine. Build a world inside these walls where it's only you and I. I'll be your hideaway, somewhere you can't escape. A shelter where you'll be safe. Breathe out.
When we filled all those rock bags by the pigs, it seemed like it was so many, but now that they're up here and on the netting, looks like we can use even more. We counted out probably about 10 more bags is what we need. 2 in between each of the hoops should secure it down, hopefully enough to keep the squash bugs out.
Leave your worries in my hands tonight. I'll carry everyone. I'll be your
So I'm here in the first paddock that we had our pigs when they were little babies. And so what we did if you remember, we planted some corn and some squash and just some different random extra seeds we had just to see what kind of production we could get, so that by the time the pigs are back here, if there's, you know, if it's viable to have food for them. And so, as you can see behind me, like here's some corn and some squash. This is a nice experiment in growing our own food, not only for us, but growing our own food for the animals that feed us.
So far this year we have fermented our garlic, and then I have some of it braided in cold storage, and I have some just in crates in our pantry. And today we are doing another method of preserving garlic, and that's freezing it in oil. I love to have garlic already peeled and minced and frozen in oil. It is just very fast and easy to use in a recipe, and it preserves the very strong garlic flavor. The last time I was preserving garlic, I used a knife and a cutting board to mince it all up. And today, to make my life quite a bit easier, I am using my food processor. The food processor works really well if you have a significant amount of garlic, and to be honest, I just forgot about using it last time. Otherwise, I probably would have used the processor to make it faster. And it usually makes the garlic a little bit more uniform, and I can get the garlic chopped up a lot more fine than I could do it myself without using a garlic press. So that is what I want for freezing this garlic, is I want garlic chopped up very, very fine to be able to freeze. I think when I made this before, I put the oil in with the garlic before I portioned it out and froze it. So that is what I'm gonna do. I was trying not to use too many pots. That's why I was pouring the oil inside the food processor, and it's just not really working. I need to use a bowl, so I'm gonna pour it in there instead and then mix it up. So far I've done about a 1-to-1 ratio of garlic to oil, and it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna start putting it in the trays. The last time I made garlic in oil, I used this tray, and I really don't like this tray because it has one solid back piece. So it's very difficult to get the garlic out once it's frozen. So this time around, I bought a new tray that has individual cube slots. So it's really going to be a lot easier to get the garlic out. These were a lot more expensive, but I think it's gonna be worth it just for the ease of use. These little portion size containers are really nice for a lot of things. I'm planning on reusing these to make baby food as well and just freeze individual sized portions.
Initially, I started to scoop out the garlic with a tablespoon-sized cookie scoop, and then I realized that was just going to take forever, and I started to just pour it all into the tray and then level it off. It reminded me a lot of seed starting, when you put a bunch of soil into a cell tray and then just kind of pushing in all of the cells and level it. Very similar thing happening with the garlic. So that was a lot more efficient and fast. I'm just not sure how it's going to freeze because I know it's going to expand a little bit. So I'll probably have to break those apart once they're frozen. Even before I finished, I realized these trays were super full because when I put the lids on, it was almost like it pushed some of the oil out of the top. So I did take the trays and then I put them inside like a big white tray to catch any spilled oil, and then I put them in the freezer. One method of garlic preservation that I haven't tried before is freeze drying it. So we peeled and minced the garlic the same way as we did for freezing it, but this time around, instead of adding oil, I just spread it in a thin layer on my freeze dryer trays, just raw as it was. And it dried super quick in the freeze dryer, and like most things we freeze dry, I put some of it in Mylar bags for long-term storage and some in jars so we can try it out this year. I've noticed that freeze-dried foods have become our safety net in years when we have a failed crop in the garden. 2 years ago, our onion harvest was terrible, but we had tons of freeze-dried onions from the year prior, and we used them in all of our cooking that year. So it feels good knowing that we've got garlic put up the same way, just in case. We are now in our 6th year of trying to be as self-sufficient with our food as possible. And that is the key right there. as much as we possibly can. So over the last 6 years, we haven't bought a vegetable from the grocery store. And for about 4 years or so, we have been raising animals on our farm and have been self-sufficient with the meat that we consume as well. I've always intended to add more things to that list, but as we've had kids and just life has happened, we've kind of just stayed steady with that, and that's okay. So much of the fun for me is in the journey and just trying to do a little bit better every year. And another thing that I really love about this time of year as we start to go into the harvest season is being creative in the kitchen and trying to figure out more ways to preserve food and different ways to preserve food, and just things that our family will eat and that are convenient, because we are in a phase of life when it just feels so incredibly busy. So this year, that is one of my personal goals, is not just to store the food, but to make it just one step easier. Just like the garlic, we're not just storing garlic bulbs, we also have minced garlic that's frozen and ready to go. We have minced garlic that is fermented. So all of those things are taken one step further than just having it as stored garlic. And that just really helps later on to make cooking in the kitchen be less time, even though it seems like more time up front, but when you're batch doing things like that, it actually saves time in the long run. Every single year we reach a tipping point where we're working so hard in the garden, and then suddenly somewhere around the end of July and usually into August for us is where the scales tip and we're spending less time in the garden and a lot more time harvesting and preserving. And we have finally reached that time of year. I was just out in the garden today checking everything, and I have a lot of tomatoes that need to be harvested. So check back next week. We are going to keep filling the pantry, and we are just getting started.